he'd get to the bottom of a run in Sweden, I remember, and we only had one pair of like MBUK hydraulic brakes, so they were off and on my bike for my race run, and puked behind the van, mate, in agony. I'd never felt pain like it, because I was so depressed. And they were like, yeah, we want you to do podcasts. And I was like, I ain't doing podcasts.
Welcome to another MBUK podcast. I'm Rob Weaver, and as ever, I'm joined by Tom Marvin. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
You good?
Yeah, all good, thanks, mate.
Excellent. And this week, we are so fortunate to be joined by the mountain bike legend, Rob Warner. Hi, Rob.
All right, mate. How are you? Hi, Tom.
How's it going?
How are we doing? All right? Always feels
good.
weird saying hello when we've been chatting 10 minutes, but let's go with it.
It's fine. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's nice to have you on. I mean, you've got quite a long history with MBUK, right?
I have, actually. Yeah. I mean, I started riding for MBUK. It was my first proper deal in... So, 93, I rode for Saracen and went to Worlds in MTB and got 19th and beat Tomac, who was 20th. So that was MBUK picked that up. And,
as they should.
As they should. Yeah, they were like a long-haired dude, and gave me a ride in 94. I got a GT RTS, it would have been then.
It's with the shock down low.
Yeah, right? It was nice. It was actually ahead of its time at the time, as I remember it, and 4,000 quid, and that was it. I went off and raced the World Cup on it.
So you did a full year World Cup?
No, I didn't. I went to Cap Dye and crashed there, and then the week after that, I qualified well there. I think I was top 10 in qualifying, and then flattered in the fight. I mean, everyone flattered there. And then the week after, we went to Hinderlang in Germany. I think it was there. Petey was flying. He snapped his chain and still qualified or something. But I crashed and landed on my only bone I broke on my mountain bike, which was my shoulder blade. I re-injured that. And then I was out. And then I came back in Mont St. Anne. I travelled there with Karen van Meerbeek. Do you remember Karen? Yeah. And got third. So, and then that was actually the start of things. The year after I got properly picked up. But MBUK absolutely started my mountain bike career, so nice. And
you were always heavily involved in the features for the better and good. That was wacky stuff, right?
Yeah, of course. It was a different time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The 90s completely different. But yeah, I got on board with it all. I knew that, like, results or not, if I rode for MBUK, I'd be covered. I'd have publicity out of it, and that worked. So it was, I sussed out the media side of racing mountain bikes right there and then. I was like, yeah, this is good. And had that, even though I didn't ride for you, I had that relationship, all the way through the 90s, really.
Yeah.
It was cool. Yeah. I think I had, maybe 15 MBUK front covers.
Oof.
Yeah, loads. I got most of them. Most of my covers are MBUK, and they're all on the wall.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
that's so
even
cool.
the one where I'm dressed up doing something with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which is humiliating. Absolutely humiliating.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Get out the annals and put it on the screen.
Yeah, thanks. I got like a cape or something on. Yeah. Do you remember?
I do remember that.
Yeah. But it was all good anyway.
Yeah.
So thanks to MBUK, it's been all right.
Back then, the curves, not just MBUK, but I guess, MB all the other sort of mags, that was sort of almost, I guess, the backbone of building a career outside of racing. A lot of the racers we've talked to have said that they needed the photo ops. They needed those things.
There was no social media, was there? There was none of that. There was no Instagram or anything. So you couldn't do it yourself. So you kind of needed sort of like a partner, if you like, to get you out there, right? Otherwise, even the races weren't particularly visible. But MBUK was massive. Like, mountain biking was booming, wasn't it? It was it was the crazy new sport, which is why it was all a bit wacky in MBUK. And Tim Manley, who started MBUK, was absolutely on board with... I mean, he started Reader's Wives. That's where he comes from. So you can see why things were a little bit out there, right? In the early MBUK days, there was a few, porn models came along on a couple of shoots. And that one actually with Chitty Chitty Bang.
Yeah.
Let's not get into that. But yeah, we had all that.
It was a different time.
Times have changed.
Yes,
but we did have some adult actors with us on some shoots. We did. No shit. Yeah.
The pantomime ones. Right?
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, the panto was like the highlight of the year.
The pantomime, and my dad won't ever forget what he saw on the common behind our house that day. Let's just leave it at that.
Oh my God.
Let's just leave it at that. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it was mad, but it was good. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Who else was around at that time then? Who were you sort of riding with? Who was in the features with you? What were the names?
Because obviously you get mentioned a lot in Steve's book. Steve
Yeah,
Pitt's
I
book,
haven't
yeah.
read it yet.
Have you not?
No, I will do. I'm reading one about the history of the UK at the moment. But I will get onto it and read it. Someone said that, yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It is good, yeah.
Yeah, good. I will read it. I actually read somewhere that he'd kept a diary, and I remembered him keeping that diary.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd imagine the book is really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But so Pete was in them a lot. Jace, really, in the early couple of years.
So Jason McCroy.
Yeah, but obviously we lost him early on. Who else? I mean, it was endless, really, wasn't it? But the team was a big thing. But yeah, I remember being in it. It was my whole career was pretty much going to mountain bike races and then coming back and doing shoots for MBUK. That was it. You know, that was all I needed to do. It was great.
When did you so you started on MBUK Racing World Cups? Well, before that, but then fully on MBUK, and then it was Giant not long after that.
Yeah. So. Yeah, 94 was MBUK, and then 95 I actually got a pro deal, like as in a salary and everything and this is no reflection at all on the Saracen brand, but it was the old Saracen brand before Madison bought it. They literally just took the name.
Yeah.
But the old people, like Petey was the same, we got turned over, we didn't get paid, and we had a terrible actually first year as professional riders. Like he'd get to the bottom of a run in Sweden, I remember, and we only had one pair of like Migura hydraulic brakes, so they were off and on my bike for my race run, and the bloke was knocking all the gear out, all the stuff was getting like pushed away out the back door. And, it was horrendous. It looked quite good from the outside, but behind the scenes it wasn't amazing. And then that was 94 MBUK, 95 Saracen, and then 96, boom, I got my Giant deal. And, sort of been there ever since, apart from the 20-year gap in the middle where I was begging them, can I come back, please? Hang on, look, over on the right for you again. And then we got back there, so that was cool.
But 96, first British rider to win a World Cup.
Yeah.
In Capron.
Yeah, I just made a film about it. I just made a film. It ain't out yet. Can I tell you about the film?
Yeah, do it, yeah.
It's called Return to Glory. I ain't going to tell you too much about it, but there's been so many things. Well, basically, I heard that someone told me they built a statue of me for that day, which I thought was a bit much. But I went and had a look, and as I got more and looked into it more, they named a street after me, the mayor at the time.
Seriously?
Yeah, and it's there, and I went and found it in this film. So
that's incredible.
And this film absolutely, like, I don't know if Peter you'll mind me saying this, but few people started rumours that it rained after, like, I came down in the dry and then it rained. Let's just say this film draws a line under that. This is the truth. This is I needed to put it out there, like, be honest, be straight up. This is what happened. It's all in this film.
When can we watch that?
It's coming out soon. I don't know, because I'm not in charge of it. It's going on Giant's YouTube. But hopefully in the next few weeks, I think we'll have it out. Yeah. Okay. And then I got another one after that where I raced all the old bikes against every downhill bike from 96 up till this one.
Oh, that's
cool.
Park, yeah, so I don't know what you'll make of that. I watched it again the other night at Bike Park Wales. Mate, I ain't moving on them old bike. It is like, it looks worse than you can imagine. Yeah. But anyway, I did it. So.
Okay, my question is then, how do you go from riding around, Reading way, to racing on a huge mountain and beating the best in the world?
Yeah,
It feels like quite a gap, you know?
Yeah, and I never rode downhill, really. I mean, Giant would take us testing a bit, like in Cap Dye, we'd have a test camp. But other than that I never rode downhill. I used to ride trails. But back then in the early, it's changed now, but back then, at them first worlds, you had people coming in from motorbike, enduro, motocross, trials, cross-country mountain bike and road. There wasn't downhillers because the sport was still new. When was the first Worlds in Durango? Like 90 or Neil Choco was 91, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So 93 when I turned up, it was like new. It was like the Wild West. It was people from all different walks of life. And of course, actually, BMX, like Mike King won that.
Yeah.
93 World, comes from BMX, top BMX races. Weirdly enough, they had the skills to deal with rocks and stuff. People were like, what's going on here? But they could pedal. They had bike skills. And I had bike skills because I'd done motorcycle trials from when I was ridden motorbikes from the age of 4 and competed almost every weekend of my life from 8 years old. So them skills actually carried across, and I always I had, my uncle was a rally dealer in Oxford, so I had BMX burners coming out my ears and rally burners, sorry, BMXs coming out my ears, and like, so and in the pits behind my house and track bikes. I messed about on bicycles alongside trying to be a motorcycle trials rider, but I spent probably more time behind handlebars than most at that age. Which is probably why I'm so worn out now. But I think it is, like I ain't stopped doing the motorbikes and I ain't really stopped doing the bicycles. So
how did the early on bikes sort of cope with stuff? I've ridden Cat Die. And
have you?
Yeah.
It's flat, isn't it, when you go there?
It's a lot of pedalling.
Yeah.
And then you sort of do a hairpin and then you pedal a long way.
Yeah.
And then you do a hairpin.
Yeah.
But it's super rocking. It's, like it is kind of rough. But like...
Yeah, bits of it were. And it had these bus stops that were high. Helen Mortimer nearly died off one. I mean, like, she really hurt herself. Yeah, it was really, actually... It's like it is flat, but back then it was so dangerous.
Yeah.
It was so dangerous.
But then you're riding it on bikes that... almost indistinguishable from these things, like hardly like dodgy brakes, crap tires, all that sort of stuff. Like, how did
chains
they
fall off?
Yeah, how did they cope? How did you?
Well, they didn't really. I mean, they didn't. I said about it at Bike Park Wales. Like, so say Cap Dive, that was the first one I went to. Like, them hairpins at the top were great fun. Then any of them straights there, you'd get a puncture. And if you survived any of that and you had a chain or anything left, which was unlikely, the last bit of a Cap Die was like a Roman road, and it was like someone had just thrown rocks. Like, it wasn't a nice, and it had a steep run in. You come out this last turn, you'd be like, pedal, like, and sprint, and then just lean back, and it would just, you'd be like, it was, and of course, I think qualifying there, I double flatted in it, and at the end of it came into this little narrow chute, and it went down onto a road, and here was about a 25, 30 foot drop onto a road with a fence, And I don't know who it was, whether it was Beneke, but I was going so slow, because I wanted to qualify on 2 flat tyres, and whoever it was come full speed and clipped me and somehow went over that barrier, and like they were on the road. I thought they were dead. They were laid out. Yeah, and then they were blaming me, and I'm like, what are you on about? I was in the middle of the track with 2 flat tyres. I was trying to qualify. What are you doing? You hit road in the back. Yeah. Yeah, it was funny, mate. We had, Cat Die was... I went with Pete Tompkins, and the early days, we had such a laugh, mate. It was an incredible time to be racing. And the technology, like JMC, so him and insane Wayne Crowsdale, do you remember him? They were Specialised teammates. Yeah. We only raced in open face helmets. I don't think full face helmets had been invented. Maybe that Troy Lee one with the bolt-on bit.
Or maybe you had
the
like
Edge,
the old
or whatever
BMX with the goggles.
and the Joffa mask and all that. They turned up in, who makes the big American sort of road car driving helmets?
Arrow?
No, but like that. But I can't remember what it was. But they had these on anyway with a full visor and all the padding, and honestly, JMC nearly suffocated. They were in big trouble. I mean, he was a fit dude, but they couldn't breathe in them. They were like, holy shit, what was Simpson or something maybe?
Okay.
Simpson helmet, I can't remember, but there wasn't even full face helmets. They look ridiculous. These car driving.
And then in
helmets.
lycra.
Hey?
And then in lycra.
And then that's right. Yeah, like a weebly wobbly.
But things obviously moved on. But even still,
fast as well.
Yeah, but I guess like I remember looking back at a lot of the videos, like headliners, transcontinental headliners, and that the course is still looking insanely rough and hard, and the bikes are still dinky and small. For a rider like you, it took ages to get a bike that.
Well, of course, you didn't realise at the time, like the XL I was giving them that is probably more like a medium now, if that. That was an XL, so you sort of. Yeah, you think it's good, and I didn't. But no, you get on that. It's like, I got big wheels, and it fit. And it would have been a lot nicer to have had bigger bikes back. There's so many kind of fundamental things that were so obvious back then that it's taken 25 years to get to. But that's how development is, isn't it? I suppose it is. The big wheels came along, and I don't know. I can't even remember when frames actually got that much bigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's everything's been quite gradual.
I guess if you don't know it's there, then you're not going to miss it, right?
But where's it going to go next?
Yeah,
I remember being in the mid-90s and going, look at this, disc brakes, suspension. Perfect. Yeah, the chain nearly stays on now. This is like, and don't forget, then even shortly after, in probably 94, 95, Michelin
Yeah.
I had tubeless tyres, the system, and it was so secret that Michel, the Michelin dude, would be waiting in the finish area, and as soon as you were off and way, the bike would be gone from him. He would take that bike, would not leave that finish area unless it was in his hands, straight to Michelin, the system wheels out, other wheels back in, then you could get it back.
So you couldn't even practice on that?
Towards the end a bit, but actually at the start it was just for race runs, and they felt a bit different, so it was difficult. Yeah, they had 2 cartridges in them.
Yeah,
they were basically like they had like a inner foam, much like they are now, hasn't much the same inner chamber, and then obviously the chamber between the tyre and that as well, that they managed to get air in or something. So you had like a backup, and you could run on them, but. Yeah, I mean, so these things have been about. Yeah, mad, isn't it?
That's factory, isn't it?
That was factory,
That's
mate.
really factory.
Yeah, that was factory, that was. That was actually factory, yeah. Yeah, that was about as factory as it got.
But late 90s, there was a lot of cash involved. There was big parties, but loads of outside sponsors and stuff like that. It must have been incredible to be involved with.
Yeah, it was pretty mainstream, wasn't it? I was on bloody You Bet and The Weakest Link, Pebble Mill. I did loads of
Pebble Mill.
Yeah, I was
wow,
on
that's
Pebble
a throwback.
Mill. I did loads. I did General Hospital. I did loads and loads of mainstream telly. So that was there, and like Esquire magazine. I had like 8 pages. So it was mainstream, and probably more actually than it is now. Even I think. I don't know. Like it was. There was a massive buzz and interest around this new. Crazy kind of sport. That new sports, I suppose, do get that attention sometimes. But it went on a bit, didn't it? It was good. Yeah, it was good.
So did you ever get to the point where like you're recognised in the street? Is it that level of fame?
Yeah, I mean, that happens now. Probably more so. Yeah, it did happen. I remember struggling with all that a bit back in the day. Like a bit like I did when I was commentating. It gets a bit much maybe at some point, but it was a bit negative this time. But like, in airports and that, I'm always signing stuff. Yeah, but that's part of it, isn't it? Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind all that. But so we were out there really. It was good. Yeah.
What happened towards the end of the 90s when that sort of big sponsorship pulled out? Did it affect you massively? Did it change racing?
It did for me, yeah. It was really, I found it, I wasn't as fast then anyway. I was slowing down massive.
Okay.
I slowed down. After I won that World Cup in 96 and everyone said it rained, I was livid in 97. So I had a good year. And then actually after that, 98, 99, 2000, I didn't do much. I only performed at tracks where there was no pedalling. And obviously back then especially, there was probably only 2 of them a year. So I had to nail like Nevercourt and Leger. I'd be like all in on them ones. But the others, they might as well have not took me.
But you still had some decent results.
Some,
yeah,
but only on the tracks I liked if you look back through the results.
Yeah.
But in 2001, I did have another go, and I got 11th overall because I was running out of. I knew I wasn't going to have a deal, and I was still making. I hung in it. I've said it before. I hung in it for the money for a long time. I was a professional racer, but I didn't like it, and the fact that the TV went. The big trucks went, like, Giant had a $1.5 million truck, mate, back then. Like, it was insane, our truck. Bigger than the trucks they have now, or, on that level. And they all did. Specialised, all that went. And it came back after Freecaster, and then with Red Bull, actually brought all that back. But the crowds disappeared, a little bit like they are now, and I found it very hard to get motivated. It went from, like, having people hanging over the fences, screaming in your face, to like a pretty sterile environment. And I remember, I think probably perhaps the most impressive thing to me about Petey was just how, like, obviously to win 17 World Cups, he's so mentally strong, and he would not let anything distract him. I mean, this is all the time as well. Everywhere we went, right from the early 90s, going, "Oh, track shit, Petey." He didn't want to know. But here I was really negative and down on it, and like Palmer had stopped, so we weren't having a good party. I was dumb, but he would never let anything, and he carried on winning, and he was brilliant. And that I think that it was incredible to see that, really. Like, he did not let any of it affect him when it could have done. He'd been a part of all the good times, So that was impressive.
Was that what sort of took the spark away for you? That change?
Yeah, it did a bit. Yeah, it did. I mean, I don't know how much of it you can time into it with, like, not going as quick. I mean, I had a few injuries. Giant had to put clauses in. Like, if I got injured, they weren't going to pay me. I had 3 broken legs in 3 years. So I missed weeks and weeks, and of course all my deals did break down. Like I was unreliable, you know, like I wasn't coming to the races. I mean, a lot of it I was hurt, and if I wasn't hurt, I was getting over it. I came back to Fort William after a broken leg, and I overjumped that finish line jump. And I remember, like, that was probably 2001.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was the first year I think Fort William was on. And I think so. Anyway, and like it was like 8-10 weeks after, but probably the third time I broke that ankle, and I puked behind the fucking van, mate, in agony. I'd never felt pain like it. So yeah, it wasn't the best time, and all I wanted to do was take that money I was earning and spend it on racing motocross. It was a disaster. But I did do a British Championship motocross race, but I don't think many other mountain bikers have, so I'll take that.
Yeah, right, that's good, yeah.
Only 19 broken bones and 13 surgeries on the way to it, but I did it.
When things were sort of like winding down on the racing side, did you have a plan of what you wanted to do next, or did you fall into what sort of came next?
No, probably why I hung on and kept earning that money. I was like, I'm never going to get this money given me again. What else am I going to? I mean, I ain't got a qualification to my name, so I worked in a car factory, Rover, for, you know, until Dad got me out of school, and at 16 I went and worked on a production line doing wiring harness every 2 minutes, the same job on Rover 800s, and I was all right with that for a bit, and then I don't know, then I started doing a little bike shop working on myself, you know, because I like the bicycles as well, so I could ride motorbikes more. I was obsessed with absolutely obsessed with motorbikes, and I resented mountain biking for taking me away from that, which is ludicrous because I wasn't a very good trials rider, but I was good at mountain biking. But I'm weird, and I had a weird relationship with mountain biking, really. But
there was nothing sort of in the works then for post racing.
No, there wasn't at all. No, and in 2000, I thought it was 2006 actually, and I did some research about that film, Return to Glory, and it was 2007 was my last World Cup race. I thought it was the start of 2006. 2007 Vigo. I had a tickly cough the day we turned up, me and Bertie, we turned up. I was coughing, mate. You know, when you're coughing, and the day before the race, it was bad, and I thought, I ain't going to be able to race here. So I went to the chemists, or Boots or whatever, and bought a bottle of cough medicine. I didn't really, but it eased the coughing. So I drank an entire bottle of cough medicine, I don't know, in the afternoon. I ended up chatting to this fish tank, man. This fish tank. I was in a restaurant. I couldn't get away from it. Like, people were coming up to me and going, "You all right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I didn't realise how messed. Then I got my head shaved. I had long hair. Next day, went to the start-up. I got drunk as well, and then I vomited just before the start. I didn't qualify, and that was the only time, as far as I can remember, that I didn't qualify for a World Cup where it was on me, not a mechanical. Like, I was always quick enough. And that was it. I was like, done. I didn't go back. And then, as fate would have it, I got a phone call, actually. So I probably would have carried on with those World Cup races that year, but that broke me a bit, not qualifying. But I got a phone call from Red Bull saying, did I want to commentate? Would I be able... So I'd done a bit of stuff for Red Bull. Here's the story, mate, actually, as it goes. MBUK. I had a column for MBUK, you remember, and I wrote a lot of stuff for you. And around that time, MBUK sent me to a gold mine race in Brazil.
Yeah, I remember
Dinas Minas or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
maybe that's Wales. But anyway, so I was in Brazil and I covered this race for MBUK. Yeah, and Red Bull were there with Channel 4, and they interviewed me. And the Channel 4 person said, "Oh, he's great on camera. You should use him." So some point after that, I get a phone call saying, did I want to do Red Bull X Fighters, this new freestyle tour with James Cracknell, the Olympic rower? Like, plucked from out of nowhere as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. So me and Cracknell ended up in Mexico City hosting X Fighters.
And that was 2007?
2007, I think it was. Yeah. I'm sure it was. Unless it was... I didn't have a year off. I remember that I didn't go any more races. I think it was 2007 I did, in 2008 then X Fighters came in. And then the maddest thing is that I did X Fighters. I don't think I missed any Red Bull X Fighters. I did them all, mate, for Channel 4 and all these channels. It was like the greatest series. So it was amazing to be around.
That stuff, were you already clued up on what they were doing? Because I mean,
I love motorbikes, but I had to learn all the trick names.
Yeah, because that's pretty complicated, right?
Yeah, but it was absolutely like...
You loved it. Did you?
There was nothing. Oh my God! It was like there's nothing like X Fighters. There was nothing like it.
What made it so good then?
just probably the insane amount of risk. Like, like you can stand it. All of it was just like every X Fighter's had a mad story. You went to Texas, and like someone's like Cam's going to do a double backflip for the first time. You imagine seeing something like that. We watched him, in Madrid. We saw it go wrong, like and the whole event had to be stopped. It was always like that. Just
on the edge
what
almost.
they were doing was just so insane that you couldn't really believe it. Like, actually, even seeing it every week, it was just too much. And because it was competition freestyle motocross, it progressed and it became gnarly. I mean, it was no getting away from it. I'm not sure it should exist as competition because they push so hard. And sadly, of course, a lot of people, get hurt or worse. They did. I mean, that's how it was. So, and it was tragic actually what happened with a lot of few riders, of course. But that's the sport. But anyway, at X Fighters in Madrid, I can't remember what year, but getting on towards probably 2008. It must have been end of 07 or something. I was at a party in Madrid, at one of the Red Bull X Fighters parties, and this bloke comes up to me and he goes, "Oh, you're a big TV host." And I was like, "Well, not really, mate, but I'm just doing this," thinking not at all. And he was like, "But you can do some mountain biking for me." And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, "I just bought the rights to the Mountain Bike World Cup. And do you want to commentate on it, host it?" And I was like, commentate it was then. And I was like, yeah. So Raymond Delu from Freecaster bought the rights. I honestly met him at that party there by complete chance, and he didn't know I'd ever ridden a mountain bike for at least a year after I'd hosted Freecaster.
No way.
Yeah, so he thought I was this big TV dude. And then I get in this car, and this dude, I can't remember his name. We go to Slovenia 2008 to Maribor. And anyway, I picked this bloke up and I'm like, "All right, mate, so you're a TV dude, are you?" And he looked at me and he went, "Oh, no, I'm just Raymond's mate. You are the big TV dude." And obviously I was only co-presenting this stuff with Cracknell. He was the lead, so he was sort of asking me questions. And there was no TV show at this point. It was just commentary. But I remember, I don't drink much, but I had about 6 pints and I walked into that commentary booth, that first commentary booth. I was wasted and we did it. And I don't even know if we did it that good. But when I got home, like obviously there'd never been anything like that, really, not like that, not like Freecaster, not with two drunk commentators. Like it'd all been on telly before. Yeah. But the feedback on Big Bike was phenomenal. I've got it somewhere. And I was like, people like that, oh my God, because they loved it. And that was the start of that core audience coming into mountain biking and that. That was it. That was where it all started right there. So, without MBUK, when I said to you the other day when I come down here, I owe MBUK a lot. I actually do. Like I wouldn't really have anything without this place. It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good. Cool. Yeah.
Am I right? Did you do that Red Bull Helter Skelter thing?
Yeah.
Was that for Channel 4 or something?
Yeah, that was for Channel 4. That was up in, you mean the one on Loch Ness?
Yeah.
Yeah, Loch Ness. And then they had another, I did loads of stuff back then with Pat. Pat.
Yeah, there's one in it. No, there's one in
Eagles with 3 or 4 riders together.
That was carnage, yeah.
Yeah, Lewis King, and he took someone out, can't remember, nearly ended him.
I don't know. I just remember
it was rough, mate.
That first one was just so pedally.
Yeah.
I think I pedalled enough to be sick.
The Loch Ness one was really pedally, wasn't it? But that was an elimination thing as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah.
I just remember being on the start line with Longdon, Tim Ponting and someone else, and they were like, "We'll take it in turns drafting. You can lead."
That's
and I was
right.
like,
"Yeah, it wasn't Daniel, was it? Really?
No.
I mean, no one's ever brought that format. I'm not. I think it's a bit.
I'm glad.
It's a bit too. You can't really do it, can you?
But that's when I think I was like, "Oh right, Rob's not riding. Rob's going to be because was it Ed Lee?
Yeah, it would have been Ed. So that was Ed and Ed. Yeah, exactly. Ed. I did all X Fighters with Ed. Ed was so after Cracknell did a year or two. Ed came in, and me and Ed did all the X Fighters for a long time.
I just remember because I was young, and they we'll keep the bar open until 4 every morning. All right.
Oh yeah, I mean, we all used to drink a lot then.
Carnage.
I can't do it anymore. I've given up drinking. Yeah, it's much better. But I definitely
that was definitely a big thing for me. Though, just remember it, and I was like, Rob's not racing.
No, that's right.
Weird, yeah.
What year was that then? Probably, maybe before 06.
Maybe 05?
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, I was getting out, but Yeah, it was even.
Yeah.
But I'd
Maybe
start
before that.
doing stuff with you, bit of hosting, like as in going and writing reports and stuff. I was sort of getting into being a journalist.
So you were kind of ahead of your time in that sense, in terms of how you kind of understood the media and realised as a rider.
Maybe
there
not
was
then,
more
but I was
to
in
it.
'93.
Yeah, but there's more to it than just results.
I think, maybe by then a few people had cottoned on, but for sure, I absolutely remember making that decision that if I rode for this magazine, I'm going to be good. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that was it. So that was cool. Yeah. And it worked out.
How are those Freecaster days? Like the commentary was always legendary. Everyone knows about it. Everyone still harks back to it now. Like, but
a long time ago now.
Was it as much fun doing it as it sounded like to watch and listen to it?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, it was an unrepeatable, absolutely unrepeatable time. I mean, I don't think it was very good for me. Like the amount I drank was bad, really. I mean, it was, but I drank because I was nervous, actually, and that didn't really go away. But it didn't really go away the whole time I did it. It didn't.
Really?
No, not really. I learned everything I learned on air. Before this is all before Red Bull came in and looked after me and taught me. Like I was doing it. I did, like, as drunk as I would always have notes. I actually started. The same notes I use now would have started in Freecaster days. You know, they've obviously been updated and changed. But I was on it with stuff. I didn't obviously really know how to do it. It was funny. So being drunk out, because I knew that I'd never feel stupid. I knew that I would never be short of words. If I was drunk, it was easy.
Yeah.
So I was drunk. I was so drunk in Fort William. I did it with Cunny for a while. He knocked a bottle. One broadcast went down. I had a bottle of wine, like just drinking it, and he knocked it over, and it went all into the soundboard, and everything went off in the middle of it. Yeah, everything in a broadcast. I remember one, like...
This is Richard Cunningham.
Cunny.
From Sprung fame.
Yeah.
Who was known for eating tea bags.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we did a few. and then, I don't know, then I moved on to I remember drinking a bottle of vodka in one of them, like, and I couldn't, only them small ones, but in like an hour and a half, but I couldn't see anything when I come out. And then... That
makes commentary really tricky.
Well, yeah, and then the next day you got to do it again, so you got to split an hangover, so it was just drink again. Yeah, it was funny. I think it put me off a bit. I'm done with drinking. I never get drunk anymore. Yeah, I don't. No, I'm done with it. Yeah, and then Red Bull came in and stopped it, actually. They actually searched the booth.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And they found beers.
Maybe for the best.
Well, it took me a long time to get on board with it, but it is for the best.
Just for the nerves, though. Just because it was like, do you think it was like a bit of a crux? He was like leaning on?
It was a crux, exactly what it was. A crutch, exactly what it was. Yeah, it was like a backup, a safety net. Man. It took me a long time, but obviously Freecaster was one thing, and then Red Bull was something very different, and all the swearing has to go. You can't be effing and blinding on a proper channel. So.
And I guess you can't just get your mates in.
No, exactly. That's right. Yeah. The Freecaster was unrepeatable, and it was amazing for that time. Yeah. And it was, but it needed to move when it moved. It did, and I found it very hard to take it on board and do it, but I did in the end. But it took me years, and once I did come around to that line of thinking of, right, let's do it. You can make it good and professional, right? And this is the only way you're ever going to, if you want to do this, then this is the only way you can ever do it. So then and that was probably the start of that, was getting lessons, like being taught how to be a commentator, which was uncomfortable.
So who teaches something like that?
Gary Bloom, I was sent to, a football TV World Cup football commentator. But he was a football commentator, and I struggled to accept anything he said because I was an action sports commentator. And I was like, what do you know, mate? Really? What do you mean, shut up? What are you on about? People want continuous commentary. They want me shouting. They want me drunk. They love it. I was dug my heels in.
But not without reason. I mean, like Danny's run at Chomprey, world champs, right? One of the most legendary bits of sports commentating,
ever.
Full stop.
Yeah,
it genuinely was.
Yeah, it was on the BBC, wasn't it? I remember seeing it on
it's been
BBC
everywhere,
Breakfast,
man.
not even that long ago.
That's right. That's right. It is. Yeah. Yeah, there's a place for it, but But it's gone, isn't it? It's just that it moved, and you had to move with it. Yeah.
But you can see why maybe you had some resistance to it because you were good at what you did.
I mean, I think as well, I just literally found it impossible to do it any other way. I found it so difficult to do it any other way. I did.
Towards the end of sort of your time with Red Bull, again, I guess you sort of developed as like a professional commentator in some regards. You've moved on to all sorts of other bits of sports and all that sort of stuff. So do you think actually that journey from Freecaster through to the end of your Red Bull sort of World Cup stuff and continuing on being a positive thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think you're better for it?
Yeah. The best thing I've ever done in my life. Away from I almost look at it as the only really good thing I've done as an achievement in my life.
Really?
Yeah, like riding bikes was pretty easy. I didn't take it that seriously. It's true. I tried to win national champs. I did 3 times. Yes. Fuck yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
But, and I did well at World Cups when I wanted to. But it wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't always that enamoured with it. But this, once I got into it, I fucking loved commentating. And I do love commentating and getting it right, which is like really difficult to put out a really good broadcast is hard. But
there's so many variables, right?
There's so many things you can make mistakes with,
Yeah.
As well as delivering a fast-paced energy. I mean, if I was doing snooker, I'd deliver a perfect commentary every week. But like, if you're trying to go at this, I don't know. I read a load of books, and one of them was like, it's impossible to do a perfect commentary, but you will come very close. And
really?
I read all this stuff, and I had goals. But those goals were very healthy, and they helped me get better and become professional. And then, when I look, if I look back at Freecaster commentaries now, I'd be like, oh my God, But if you show me one of the last 5 years or whatever of Red Bull, then I'm really proud of it. Yeah, they were proper because they were professional, but we still kept the essence of downhill and and do you know what? Early on as well, like Red Bull knew I was struggling, and one of my bosses, who's a commentator as well, I said, I feel a bit stifled. I don't know how hard I can go. And he was like, if it's a run like this, I think it was like Smith's run in 2030. He was like, go fucking mental. We want you to go as loud. Do what you want, but you can't do it from the start of the broadcast to the very end.
There's nowhere to go.
We do not want you to be calm. This is you. This is what we want. This is why we employ you. So it just needed professionalizing, and I did it. And and I'm really happy about that. Yeah. Otherwise I wouldn't have a job. Yeah. Now, and I ain't finished commentating for Red Bull. I ain't got the World Cup, but I'm still in charge of the biggest, like 3 weeks' time, Tasmania.
Yeah.
You look at them numbers, well over the million mark. So I'm still hosting and commentating on the biggest downhill races on earth, and that's important. I like that.
So do you think you getting into the commentary stuff reignited the love for racing? Because it sounds like you kind of fell out of love with it from a personal side of things.
Yeah. I think I've said I much preferred to turn up at a World Cup as a commentator than a racer.
Really?
Yeah. But the pressure wasn't always that easy. Now I know what I know about myself. I can understand a bit more why downhill was probably quite difficult for me. Like, holy shit, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of pressure. And of course, if I don't like a track, if a track had, honestly, if I had to sprint here from here to the door of your building on a World Cup downhill track, if I walked the track and I saw that, you might as well have put me on a plane home. Like, I'd be like, right, there's 20 seconds of pedaling here. I'm going to lose 30 seconds. Whatever, 3 seconds. I knew I'd be out the back. I was like, forget it, I might as well not be here. And then I'd be miserable through practice and blowing shit up and moaning and letting tyres down. I used to let my tyres pull over and let tyres down on the side of the track if I was having a particularly bad run, so I didn't look too bad. Did all sorts.
Is it?
I used to hide from the starters, and then they'd call my number and I'd hide, and then I'd turn up and they'd be like, you missed your start. And I'd be like, that's your effing fault, and then get another fine, but make it legit. I did that all the time. I was terrible.
But it sounds like, so I think everyone's probably listened to the Ride Companion where you opened up a lot about yourself and you've learned a lot by the sounds of things. Does it make it easier looking back on that to sort of explain
probably why it was hard. Yeah, it was weird, that was. I think there's a part of me, there's definitely a big part of me feels robbed and like, why did I have to go to school? Don't send me to school. You just wasted 20 years or 16 years of my life that I'll never get back. It was the shittest thing And I hate schools. Like, fuck them. They're terrible. Kids, I don't even think kids now should have to go to them. They're like, out of date, man. Wake up. It's too old. Forget that system.
Yeah.
But, that's my I really hate schools. Yeah. What was the question again? It was...
Just, did it make it hard or easy looking back, I guess?
So that feels like I was robbed. And probably even the racing does now, because I didn't know why, I can't... It was really hard to perform unless everything was perfect. I mean, the bike would have to be perfect. The track would have to be... I could, but it wasn't... If you look at my results, I'm really inconsistent. I never did much in the UK, except at national championships, because the tracks were too flat here. I saw downhill was gravity fed. I shouldn't have to roll. I shouldn't even be out of breath here, because I was strong from the motorbike. So I could hold on. I just couldn't pedal. But then on the flip side of that, then it's been the biggest reward ever, and a massive personal thing for me to be a good commentator, because that adds to all the strengths of my brain, right, that I didn't know I had. So if I hadn't done that, I don't think I'd be quite fulfilled in my life as I am now. I feel like that's what I'm saying. That's why that's why the commentating was more important to me, because I always thought I was stupid. I said in that Ride Companion one, I acted thick because I was just getting told off at school all the time. I couldn't study. My ADHD is out of control. My PDA, I can't be told what to do. Imagine being at school. What are you on about? Don't send. No one knew. But I do definitely have issues about that. But luckily, it all came good, and it wouldn't have come good with Freecaster, because I was still in that idiotic kind of, I'm a drunk mountain biker, night, getting pissed up, wasted, on air, screaming about. It needed... Red Bull was like a proper school that worked for me. You know what I mean? So I hold that as the highest thing I've ever performed at or done by a long way. And it is. It's much bigger than my mountain bike career. I was much better known as a commentator. So I mean...
the demand for your commentary is insane when you look across the forums and stuff like that.
It's still mad, mate. It's still mad.
That is a seriously impressive accolade.
It's lovely. I do like it. As hard as it was, now it's good again, it's good. People like it, and it's good. I like it.
After that Ride Companion podcast came out, how was the reception to that? So I think it surprised a lot of people.
It surprised me.
Did it?
I mean, I have to be careful, because it upsets me. But
it's an emotional thing.
I got messages for fucking weeks afterwards, and they were incredible. Really? Like I said on the other day, I'd sit up half the night, usually in tears, reading them all, and they were fucking heavy, some of them. But what a thing. And I like I said, I did that podcast because I needed to do it. I don't know really why I wanted it out there, but I do, and I feel better for it. You can't really be me and act like I do. It was good that everyone knew why. I think maybe because I'd had the realisation. I was like, well, that's why I'm a fucking dick sometimes. Now I want everyone else to know that, I'm a bit different.
You're not
so I don't know, but it was nice that it had affected so many people. And even now, Bike Park Wales, people coming up to me on Friday, people come up to me all the time and say that Ride Companion podcast was fucking life-changing. And for a lot of people, mate, and a lot of people, kids and that, so it's good. I'm happy.
I'm glad I did
so
it. Good. So good.
Whoa, we got through that section without me tearing up for once. Woo! Fuck yeah. I'm going to have a fucking croissant.
Celebrate with a croissant.
I think I said to Ollie and Davy, we had them the other week, and we talked about that podcast, and I sort of said, I was listening to it when I was driving, as a lot of people do, and I sort of was an hour and a half long drive to our podcast, and I had to sit for half an hour at the end of it just to finish the podcast before I started.
Did you?
Doing anything else. Yeah, because it was genuinely
it was heavy.
One of the most. Well, it was heavy at times, but it was also super interesting, and it was really engaging, because I think a lot of mountain bikers sort of. I've been mountain biking, 20 odd years. So a lot of that time I've been either watching or listening to you. Yeah. So I don't know you, sort of thing.
But you feel like you do.
But you feel like you do.
Yeah.
So it felt really personal. And it
definitely resonated with people.
Yeah.
Really massively. And that, that's the best thing. And now, as I said, honestly, so I did that, and then I had people coming up to me left, right and centre. And I thought that I was actually all good after, I mean, that was like over a year after not doing a World Cup, and it definitely destroyed me that had been taken away because it was the only thing I was good at. I don't know, but I miss it. I still miss it. You know what I mean? I like doing it. I like turning up at a World Cup. There ain't nothing. I've been turning up at World Cups as a racer or as a commentator since '93. So of course it was a big thing.
It's a huge part of it. Yeah,
it was everything kind of gone. So you know, I stand by. I don't think I should have been probably as good as I was. But what are you going to do? You can't change it. But now people come up to me, and like I say, I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. But at the end of last year, I came to this thing here, and weird. I did a few things. I was just like, I still wasn't there, but now I think I am.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I've got through a podcast about crying so fast. We're on the right way, mate.
We're not finished yet.
I kind of wanted to ask a little bit more on the old commentary thing. Just it's not in the notes, so I apologise. But like, I know
I'll do whatever you want. I'm down with that.
In a couple of weeks, you know, we hinted at Hardline. That's coming up, obviously down in Australia, but. What on the day of commentating a race? Like, what's the preparation like? What sort of notes are you going in? What kind of information do you need? How much is it up here? Is it on paper? Like, is it pressured? Are you focused? Is it you know like? I feel the pressure, talk us through a day.
You still feel the pressure now?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, and I cock up on the bigger days more than I do the smaller ones because I want it to be
But are those cock ups? Not like when we cock up and we royally fuck it up, but
I
like
can royally fuck it up.
Yeah, but that's live, isn't it? But no one knows.
It shouldn't be.
You shouldn't
be in a comment. I mean, I'll tell you in a sec. But like, so when you're doing the World Cup, it was a doddle. Like it wasn't. It was a lot of work because there's those stats roll but those stats all roll over, and you know after a few races for sure. I probably wouldn't even look at my notes. Like halfway through a season, it's done. Like I know everything. Bearing in mind, probably spend all day Tuesday updating everything. So you've already written it down, so it goes in a bit. They say, doesn't it?
And Rick used to say, like you were like a real stickler for all the pre-production stuff. You'd have meetings late into early hours of the next morning.
Yeah, it's the only time in my life I've ever been professional. But
like,
I mean, really professional.
Like
I love it.
Stickler.
And I want that broadcast to be fucking perfect. Like, and it guts me, even if it well, we all did. We all did.
Yeah.
Not me, Red Bull.
Yeah.
Like, that was where we were at. Because we had it from Freecaster, and it was shit. And the sport was a mess, and then look what it became.
Yeah.
And you know, and that was an amazing thing to be a part of. But yeah, so I work hard at the stats for sure, like all the records, everything's written down. I try to go to a World Cup with any race. I try to turn up with prepared actually, right? So that statistically prepared at least, right? So like I'm going 36 hours to Australia. Normally I'd have started work, but I'll save it all for the flight because, you know, I can watch all the Hardlines back from last year and then really get back into it. And that'll be enough. But when I turn up there, I'll be up to date. And then basically, you know, I just news gather. Just get as much news, as much info.
So just being around the pits and stuff.
Yeah, and pick all that up and put all that into that commentary. And that all has to be done actually by Saturday night for me. Because Sunday's the race day. And I actually used to work till like 2, 3 in the morning. I'd sit up and, you know, you can go down rabbit holes of like mad research of such and such. And, oh, they did that, but I thought they did that. And then you have to go, like, it's mental, especially with a head like mine. But in the end, I had to put a 10 o'clock curfew in because then you're tired. You can feel it the next day. And then, you know, at World Cups, or even now, if you're doing a pre-show as well, and we were doing pre-shows for cross-country and downhill, you know, men and women, so sometimes 4 of them. I'm writing those as well in the week with help, but you've got to be on top of those. But the commentary needs to be done so I can focus on those pre-shows and get them right. And then, and, you know, that's a big stress. That's from 9 till midday, and the racing starts at 1. I'm doing pre-shows, then it's the commentary, and then, so... For me, everything would need to be done the night before. Of course, you know, if someone's had a crash, I'll run over the pits after the pre-show and find out any last-minute info. But yeah, that's how it is really. You got if you put the work in, it's easy on air really. You know, you just got to know it. The more you know it, the better it is. And then, like now, each commentary I do is a bit different. And I totally cocked one up. I've made such a mistake. One of the street races, it was terrible because like there's so many components in a pre-show or whatever, and then you're going to go to commentary, and there's going to be the globe fly and a postcard, and then this is coming in interviews, and they were like globe fly. Now I went back to the World Cup where it's just the globe just pops in, and it's like we're here in Mexico, South America, in Guanajuato. And after that, this minute of postcard with all this, and I thought it was just that, so I hadn't prepared for it. And honestly, I start banging on about the Aztecs, gold mines and everything. I had a meltdown. Only for 30 seconds. And the good thing is I've done it so much I can totally recover. But yeah, you can't drop your guard. Something could get you. Didn't happen at the next ones, but I noticed I rushed my words at the next one because I was nervous about making another cock up. But that actually, probably people at home won't notice them things, but that is what makes it interesting to me. And I know I've got notes in my head here now for Tasmania that I need to get right. So it's always in my head. I'm always thinking about it.
What happens have you done any of the ones where you're in a studio trying to commentate on something happening miles away?
We do that.
Does that change the vibe though? Because if you say like your information gathering, you just don't have that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I did the other day a hard enduro in Chile from Salzburg.
Right.
But I mean, it was amazing. But it would have been a lot easier if you'd been there. But you do what I know a lot about mountain bikes, and so I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
But if I'd been there, I would have known a bit more about. Yeah, it's things like, say they run out of battery on the Stark and we didn't know whether he'd run out of battery. If you're there, you'd be like, how many laps are you going to do? It's incredibly hard to get information out of South America. You don't even know if it's going to be a broadcast. You're sort of sat there waiting.
Oh, my God.
And then hopefully something comes through. Yeah, it's like that. And then there's, of course, massive language barriers, even when you're on site.
Yeah.
But that's the job, man. That's what's cool. Like when I'm in that commentary box, I feel like I'm flying a ship. And it's like, I just got to keep this thing going here. No matter what goes on out there, this has got to keep going, and I'm in charge here. I'm the mouthpiece. All this team behind me, it's me that's got to keep it running, and I love
nuts.
that, man. It's cool, isn't it?
And it's quite diverse what you're doing now.
Yeah, I do all sorts, motorbikes and different. I mean, the Red Bull Stella Bahu series of crankworks. I'm doing those. They're good. Yeah, we're good. It's still.
So as much as you miss the downhill, that must be pretty cool.
It's harder
to be
now
so
because it's harder because I'm dealing. I'm not only dealing with the very best in the world, so there's a lot more research to be done.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't mind, actually. Sometimes I'll just do a commentary without any pre or post show, and I love it because it's like going back to how I started, and I refresh, just doing a pure commentary, like knowing what's coming in, like I've got a word. Yeah, it's fun. I like it. I love it.
Also, like if you do, you're known for mountain biking. I know your motorbikes is quite a big thing for you. If you're doing stuff outside of those two sports, is it easy to sort of key into it? Like,
the further you get away from what you know,
the harder it gets.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
maybe the podcast is a good example, right? Because Elliot's kind of the host, right?
Elliot, we do Just Ride for Red Bull. That's right. And Elliot is the host on that. Yeah,
and you're almost there to bounce ideas and questions.
Yeah, and that's how we do that one. Yeah, I love
that's a good dynamic. Yeah,
good. I'm glad so. Because I feel a bit lazy with that, really. Basically, what happened with that, to be quite honest, was I was so depressed. And they were like, we want you to do podcasts. And I was like, I ain't doing podcasts. I mean, this is the truth. I was depressed as fuck. Yeah. And like Red Bull stood by me, mate, and they did. Good. They are, you imagine having a big company like that, like actually take care of you.
Yeah.
Fuck. And they were like, "Come on, we just need you. Elliot's gonna host it." And I was like, "You can just turn." I was like, "Well, I'll only turn up." And they were like, "Yeah, just turn up." So that's how it started. Mm-hmm. But I'm very happy with it. I like the freedom on that.
Yeah.
Because it's a different role.
Yeah.
And Elliot has all the pressure. So it's perfect. He's up half the night doing his note. He works really hard on them. He loves them as well. So, and we're doing, I think, I don't know, but I think we're going to be doing some road stuff.
Oh, cool.
So
because you've had some road guests on, haven't you?
Yeah, and obviously with the Red Bull Bora Hans Grower team, now it's coming more. But I'm studying the road. I'm studying it. It's interesting.
The racing's good.
Oh my God. I have always sort of had an eye on it, the big ones. Like
the Tour and stuff.
The Tour, of course, always watch that. But now classic, it's just, Honestly, when you get into how gnarly they are, holy shit, mate. Then I'm going to go and ride up Mont Ventoux in a few weeks' time.
Are you?
I asked Giant for this road bike, right? It turned out it's got all like electric, wireless shifters, power cranks, and I was like, Envy, I need some road wheels. He was like, yeah, we're gonna have to send you the top of the range ones. The other ones are all out of stock. I don't know how much these wheels are, so it's all out. And I was like, I probably should do something on that bike. And I've always wanted to ride up it.
Yeah,
It's like weird, isn't it?
It's iconic.
Never
though,
even
right?
seen
it's
it.
Iconic.
It'll blow my mind. So I'm going to go and ride. How long is it going to take me to ride up that?
A couple hours.
Is that all?
Yeah, it's
it
a
won't
big
be like
hill.
4 or 5 hours.
I don't. Are you doing less than that?
Will I? Yeah,
I
that's
think so,
good.
yeah.
So I'm going to go and do that.
Nice.
Yeah, as part of my knowledge building. But I'm into it actually. I mean, the speed they go, like it's way more gnarly than downhill, isn't it? Like racing, they're doing like 60 mile an hour in lycra. They're mental.
Yeah.
They ain't got pad on them.
Yeah.
And when
it's
it
either
goes
a roll
wrong,
or a drop that you come off. Right?
when it goes wrong, I mean, it's risk of death is insane. They're on about limiting gears now, but
To slow it down.
Yeah.
I mean, people like
let them race, man. You can roll at 60 mile an hour.
They'll work around it though, won't they?
Well,
That's the thing.
That's the thing. No, I don't
racing.
think it makes it any better.
No,
I don't
it's
know. It's
dangerous
racing.
sport.
Yeah, leave it alone. Let the sport be. Let sport be sport. Then it's good.
Yeah. I was going to say, having conversations with you in the past, it comes across that you're quite a well-read guy, which I don't think people maybe they underestimate you. But
Yeah.
you're big into your history,
Yeah.
volcanoes,
Love Volcano.
Area 51.
I went there the other day. I did. I had set eyes on it. I got on the fence, mate. I sent you the photos, didn't I?
You did? Yeah.
I did. I got up to the
Seen the
fence.
photos.
I took a...
Richard, is that like contraband? Am I going to get in trouble for that?
No, but I sent you the photo that says any photography of this site is strictly forbidden. You will
Yeah.
get arrested.
Yeah.
I got that side.
Yeah.
I swerved and was like, and then booted it back out. I was waiting for an Apache to like land in front of me. But I was in this weird shop in Rachel, this town. There's a little town. It's not even a town. It's a souvenir shop, and there's people that are a bit. I didn't think I wanted to hang out more than the 2 hours. That was enough. I was there 2 hours. I was listening to it all. I was their first visitor for like a decade, and they were telling me, they were really into it. They were like, if you go up on that hill there, man, sit in that saddle, you can see those weird things flying around at 3,000 feet over Area 51. We got images of it and all this. Yeah. But they reckon, I said, what happens if you hover your foot over the line crossing? And he was like, don't do that. If you cross the line, don't even touch the ground on the other side. And he said, I promise you, they will arrest you and you will be in jail tonight.
Did he suddenly go very serious at that point?
Then I drove out to it. He said it was 10 minutes. Honestly, it was like 40 minutes each way. And did I tell you, it was like, so I thought I was on my way from Vegas to go and see Envy Rims up in Salt Lake. And it said 6 hours on the sat-nav, right? And then I looked and I thought, I can go around Area 50. So this was like here, 6 hours. And I was like, Area 51 and Rachel. So I put it into Rachel. And then by the end of it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was like, Salt Lake, 11 hours. Oh my God. It was the most. I drove across like the straight road. It was too much. I mean, I do love it, but like I'd already done 3 hours out. I did like 15-hour day of driving and hung out with some weird alien folk. Yeah, it was too much. Yeah. I was pretty strung out when I got to Salt Lake. I was hanging.
Oh my
But
God.
yeah, it was funny though. It was cool. But yeah, it's an interesting part of the world.
I bet. Aside from Area 51, are there any other sort of keen interests? What about history? What's your favourite?
I just like a bit of history.
Just like looking back.
The
You said you're
mountain
reading
biking,
British
I start-
history? You said you're reading a book about British history?
I'm reading a brief history of Britain, which is mad, mate. I've only just
it?
got to Queen Elizabeth I, but she, without a doubt, is the best queen we ever had.
Really?
Yeah, better than the ones we got now.
Hands down.
Royal family, forget it. But back, I was a fan, mate. I got tattoos, but forget them. Like, Andrew's ruined it, hasn't he? He has ruined it, eh? And the other one who went to America.
Harry.
Yeah, it's just disintegrated.
Yeah.
Queen's gone.
What was about Queen Elizabeth I? What's the bag?
Well, she did loads. She was just the best ruler there's ever been. She was King Henry VIII's daughter, wasn't he? He only ever wanted a son, right? And he never got one, despite killing everyone who failed him and trying. But the irony is that she was easily the greatest monarch we've ever had. I don't really know why. She was fair and the country was really prosperous, and yeah, she was cool, mate. She did a lot of cool shit, yeah. But the politics involved in it all, with marrying the French and the German, like
it's mad,
the whole
yeah.
thing. Yeah, who is the royal family? It's just insane. But I do love all that. And weirdly enough, right? So when I first got a Rally Maverick, when I was 14 or something, a big thing, I'd go out mountain biking, I'd look on Ordnance Survey maps, I'm really exposing how weird I am here, and find like earthworks and tumuli and old ancient things, and ride out to them. Like near me there's the Grimms Ditch at Nuffield, which is a great bit of single track, but that's like, they think like an ancient Neolithic earthwork or cattle boundary, and there's all these burial mounds.
Right.
I'm not that far from Wiltshire. And then the other day, I was out on that road bike, wasn't I? And I was like trying out that. And I saw a castle on this sign out in the sticks. I rode out down this dirt track on it. And I got there and it wasn't a castle, just this pile of dirt. And I went and read the sign about it, and it was like such and such. So then I got on Google and started having a look. And it was a castle from the War of the Anarchy, which was 1,000 or a big, I don't know how long it went on for a long time, just in the medieval times, Dark Ages, which was when the Romans left, wasn't it, afterwards, right? So they don't know that much history about it, but apparently Queen Matilda, and I found a load of these other castles around where I live, Mott and Bailey castles, built by the Normans, they're everywhere. This was one. She got everyone from Oxford Castle and imprisoned them on this mound of dirt, and then killed them all, they think, and then went off to Wallingford, right where I live, and signed the Treaty of Versailles or so. I don't know, but it's so interesting. But like all that shit happened, like it's everywhere you look. Man. I do find it really interesting. Yeah, so it's everywhere in this country, isn't it? There's so much ancient stuff about, especially down in this area.
So in a different life, maybe.
Well, I started off riding the Ridgeway and things like that. All those things kind of got in mountain biking and got into... I'm fucking sound like a druid, don't I?
You like?
I mean, I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not obsessed with it, but I do have an eye on
interesting.
it. Do I sound weird now?
No, I've got my current thing. I read a lot of like World War II histories, right?
I like World War II history.
So I'm reading a book at the moment about there's this thing called the coppice, and they're basically like people who were dropped off on canoe, and they would like canoe into the beaches to sort of survey them to work out whether they were good for a landing. So they did it with D-Day. They did it a lot in Burma and places like that. So I like read the thing and it's like, on this beach, I'll go in Google Maps and I'll zoom in and I'll find it and be like, there's a spur of this little mound. And I was like, that's that.
Well,
it's
so exactly.
Cool. Like genuinely.
Oh, good. You've made me feel
I love it. I love it.
It is exciting to go and investigate stuff and find stuff. I found that really mad that day. Like that, I was stood on this pile of dirt and like,
basically
2,000 years ago,
a
load of people got slaughtered there by Queen Matilda, who was fucking livid about something or other. It's mad, isn't it? Brilliant, yeah.
Well, it's a nice little segue with the history side of it. Going into, so you mentioned you've got that film coming out where you've ridden, is it the 3 bikes over 3 decades?
5
bikes. You rode 5 bikes?
42 minute. Be ready. It's fun to watch it at home when you're bored.
On the TV.
On the telly, yeah.
So what bike did you start on? Is it 990? I
start on the ATX 990. Not a giant one, actually. Well, it was, but it was made by Caston. So the 990 was the first bike I got off Giant. And then very quickly, I think I feel like Tomac brought that bike over. And I even went through a load of my history, all my old MBUK press cuttings. I've got every press cutting from MBUK.
Have you really?
I'll bring them down for you. You'd like them.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Everything. Piles of them, folders of them. And I seem to remember that he rode a rally that looked a lot like that ATX 990. And I seem to remember when he came to Giant, they literally painted it yellow. But I'm not sure. But it wasn't. It was a Caston BMX manufacturer frame.
Okay.
And then he rode that bike a little bit longer because he didn't get on with the ATX 1. John didn't. John wouldn't ride it.
Really?
I'm not going to say why, but he wouldn't ride it.
Didn't he ride up a badged?
Intense.
Yeah, he did, right. Yeah, was that, so that was the same time? Yeah. Ran the ATX one time?
He wouldn't ride it, yeah. Huh. Yeah, so, I think it don't matter, does it? It was 30 years ago.
Long time.
Yeah, well, the ATXs, him and Bob Gregorio, his mechanic. Do you remember? It was mint, mate. Imagine I was this nipper and I was like, fucking hell, teammates with JT. I've been watching him in like a condom coming down Mammoth, like 90 mile an hour. He was a god, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I was all of a sudden teammates with him. But yeah, I didn't give a shit because I was new to it. But basically back then they didn't make bikes like they do now, and the wheels were like they couldn't get it. He'd be like, yep, no, that one's going to be good on left-handers, man, not so good on rights. And then it got in my head and I used to be quick around left. Yeah, but I didn't care, I just rode the bike. But he didn't ride the ATX one as much as he would have done because of that. Yeah, they were funny though. I was at the start of it, he was at another level, you know. I didn't know that he'd already been racing a long time. I listened to something the other day. He'd already been big on the road in like 85s and.
Well, he did the Olympic trials in '88 for road.
88. There you go. So he had a proper career before he went mountain biking.
Yeah,
then.
so he's riding for
Motorola at one point.
7-Eleven, I think. Then
that's right. He
part
did
of
have
the
a 7-Eleven
team.
ride.
Yeah, because he bizarrely, I don't know if you ever met George Ramblecamp, who used to run our workshop. Was the Batcave when we were in Bath.
Maybe I've been down there.
The American guy, the bold American guy. So he did the same trials as Johnny T.
No way.
Yep, same because he moved over to Belgium to become a pro road rider.
No way.
Yeah. And then when that didn't work out, he came and worked for us.
We all end up here at some point. Yeah. My teeth clean.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
No way. Is that right?
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, Johnny T's, but yeah.
So that was cool, obviously, that was a highlight of my mountain bike career, that was. But yeah, so it's the 96, the ATX 990, followed by an ATX 1.
Which was an incredible bike.
Well,
at the time, it was so far ahead of so much, right?
Boom, I'm so glad you said that, because in the film, I said, and this bike was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah.
It was. Again, I never did anything here because none of the bikes pedalled well. They were shit. But the track, I did win nationals. I won 3 national titles on that bike, though, the ATX one, which was good to do that in the UK, really, because it wasn't the most pedal ever. No. But at the World Cups, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then Mars won Worlds on it, you know.
Yeah.
And then, so I rode that. Then I rode the DH team. And actually, in the film, I say that I didn't like the DH team and I hated it and I refused to ride it. And it was one of these ones where I had all different linkage parts. And at this point, things weren't quite as factory as
I didn't like that bike.
Didn't ya?
No.
No one got on with it really on the team.
Luke did.
Yeah.
Who?
Luke Marshall.
But I couldn't get the bottom bracket low enough on it, as I remember.
Sky high.
It was sky high, and I couldn't turn it. So I remember literally, like, I had all these factory giant parts, like these like shock mounts, and you'd have to put 3 in, and I'd end up just using the bottom 2 holes and trying to lower and then filing things. I had a grinder on it and all sorts. It was terrible. So in the end, I gave up and rode the Faith, which was that free ride thing. This was properly the end of my career. But I rode that team. It actually felt mint.
Because the Aussie lad won Worlds on that.
On a DH team?
No, on the Faith. What was his name?
Oh, not downhill world.
Yeah, junior.
Oh, did he?
I think so. Amiel Cavalier.
Did he? I don't remember.
Pretty sure he won.
No, it wasn't that bad.
No, it looked good. Yeah,
it wasn't a bad downhill bike considering it was a free ride thing, wasn't it? It was funny, but yeah, I didn't mind it. But yeah, and then in the film though, the DH team felt a long way ahead of the ATX one.
Did it?
Yeah, it did a
big
bit.
jump.
Felt bigger. Like,
okay.
Here's the thing: ATX one we had were much bigger than the production ones. They weren't that big, any of the bikes back then. Yeah. I ain't got one of them, unfortunately.
So you just rode a stock bike?
I rode a stock one. Mint, Joe brought it me. But it was absolutely, perfect. But they were a little bit bigger. And then the DH team was one of my factory bikes that they used in the film. Yes, beautiful. All blue, electric blue. It's a beautiful thing.
They look wicked, didn't they?
Yeah, and then I rode that. And then I rode the Glory.
Yeah.
The one with the shock through the frame.
It's 06, first
and then
time.
This one. So 5 bikes, right? Yeah. It's
that
fun.
Glory was cool, the first one. 06.
It was nice, and I remember it being nice to ride at the time. It was a good bike. Yeah, it was good.
You used to kill the bushings in the shop. I just remember that. Having to go to Fox every weekend.
Really?
Yeah, we used to kill them non-stop.
Did ya?
Yeah.
No, I can't remember that, but I probably didn't ride them enough back then to do that. But they were nice. It was a hell of a bike. Factory giant. Didn't wear any bushes.
They were probably just doing it for you, whereas we obviously had to go.
Maybe. Yeah, but I wasn't racing by the time that much come out that much. Oh, maybe 05 I did a full season. 06. Yeah, probably did. Yeah, that's right. Just not very fast. I was miserable, mate. Dragging my ass to like 30th. Oh, it was terrible.
Still,
but unable to train because I couldn't be bothered. So I was just in a hole, miserable.
Yeah, I think you put yourself down quite a lot. I think it's still incredible what you've done.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, I'm happy with it. But I like the mountain biking definitely ain't as important to me as the commentaries.
Okay. I mean, I think it's important to a lot of people, though.
What,
especially you as a racer.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
people remember better memories and fonder memories than I do, I think,
I mean, I had
a lot of good times racing, don't get me wrong. The trouble is, I remember more the end of it. Like, up until 2000, with Palm and everyone, and Petey and Voorhees and Randy Lawrence and Miles and the giant team that was insane. The giant team was dysfunctional at best, like McCarroll, and like we were just out of control. We had the best time. Like I had the best 1990 to 2000. I wouldn't switch it with anyone.
Yeah.
We were. It was funny, mate. I found a picture of me the other day with. I said to Palm, I was like, probably shouldn't put that out there. And he was like, not in this day and age. Like on his bus, he had a loaded. I said, was that a Colt 44 Magnum? He's like, no, Smith & Wesson, man. And I've got it to my head and I've not got my finger on the trigger because it's loaded. That's right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's how we were. We were driving around in a bus with a loaded gun in the glove box, for protection. Yeah, it was mental. It was brilliant. It was fucking brilliant. What a time.
Back there, yeah.
Well, we broke down on the motorway once. The bus broke down. I think that was the day after we'd found out the driver didn't have any insurance. But I went and slept at the back, and when I came up the front, Palm was sat on the motorway, on a hard shoulder of a motorway, in the driver's seat with that loaded gun. And I was like, what are you doing? He was like, you don't know who's around here, man. It's America, innit? Yeah! Just sat guarding the bus with a loaded Colt, with a loaded Smith & Wesson.
Like do.
Funny as. Yeah. Yeah, anyway.
It's mad looking back.
We're right talking about guns on here.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sure it's fine.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Back to the bikes.
Yeah.
So you rode the Glory, was all right. Sorry, the first gen Glory. And then you moved to this bike?
Yeah.
Again?
So that was a 16-year gap.
It's a big jump. What was it like?
Well, I don't think I'll ever know how good that is. I can't actually go fast enough to find out. That is probably the truth of it. But that thing, it's just... It blows. I actually can't wait to ride it again. It blows my mind. It's wild. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously all downhill bikes are now, but like the speed you can go on it and just plow through nothing bothers it. It jumps perfect. It's as I say in the film, like the amount of traction. Like I can't hit a turn hard enough to sort of make it slide. I can't. Like it's absolutely. Which then, actually, as I have ridden it, has now given me another respect. I can see why the riders, are so, Broody and Piron are so built these days. You imagine the compressions that they're holding themselves off when they're riding these things that hard. They're a different rider now, mate. Yeah, it's a different thing, isn't it? It's a different thing.
Yeah, totally.
But,
so it sounds like you're properly back in love with riding, though.
Yeah, I am. And actually, I didn't ride for a long time. I didn't have bikes for a long time after I quit. And then Max Commonsell, I did an advert for him and then, went on and rode for a few other brands before finally getting back on the... And I can't explain it, but it's such a lovely feeling for me to ride a Giant again. Like every time, it's who I need to ride for. I love riding for Giant. I always rode for Giant. So to be back there is amazing, yeah. And I am thoroughly loving it and...
but all the bikes as well,
it's
not
quite
just
nostalgic. Yeah, the e-bikes, and I got hardtail, jump bike, road bike. I'm set up, man. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I'm very, very, very happy. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's cool.
That's very cool, mate.
It fits. No, every other brand felt a little bit weird, really.
Okay.
Maybe not Vitas because that was quite new and smallish,
bit
but
different,
but all the other brands. But this is where I should be on the old Giants. Yeah, it's cool.
Which is your favourite sort of bike from your back catalogue of bikes all the way back?
It would be the ATX1. Yeah.
That felt almost like a signature bike. To a
Pretty
degree,
much.
right?
Want it all.
Yeah.
I had all my we developed it. I mean,
Yeah.
we did a lot of like as in worked with with the Taiwanese on making that bike, the geometry of it. So we tested it in Cap Dye. Miles was my teammate. He was world champion on it. All the good memories, all my good years were on that bike, which is, and that is why I'm out when I see that. Because I love that colours of that. Like, they're really almost the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like another ATX one maybe, but I only want the factory one really, which I ain't going to get. So, but they're nice to look at. They are quite disappointing to ride. I ain't that bothered. I'd stick with stuff that works. I think
It's nice for the wall, though, right?
Be nice to have one in the house, wouldn't it? On the wall.
Yeah.
They are. Yeah, but that does it. The colours are good.
That's killer. Isn't it?
Of all the bikes you've got now, then, which is the one if you had to save one of them?
Oh well, that is probably the one. That's the one I brought today. I love it. Yeah, that's the one. Every time I open the workshop, that's hanging up under a light. So I put the light on, it's like, I see it, and every day I'm like, wow, yeah, that is, I think, I just love that one. Yeah, I don't know, it's a downhill bike as well. I suppose I still feel I might be a downhiller, even though it was a while ago. But yeah, I don't know, I don't know. I mean, the e-bikes got me back in, and now I actually more ride non-e-bikes. I go to the parks, I ride the rain all the time, and I ride that a fair bit now. So
You're the only gold card member at Bike Park Was, right? Is that right?
true.
The only one.
Apparently so. Yeah, the only VIP membership card. Yeah, that's right.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Especially considering we sponsored it since the get-go.
Yeah, we still don't get that.
Have you not got one?
No.
Have you not? No, it's in here, mate. I can roll up whenever I want. Just you've not got one of those?
No, we don't have it. No.
You can have it. Just leave
I
it
grew
for the rest of
I grew up racing with the guys who own it, and
for the rest of the podcast.
yeah. I go way back with the owners. It's fine,
Very important person. There it is. If you keep going there, and I'm sure you'll get there in the end.
It's like a club card, yeah?
Oh, they just charge us more.
How much money has MBUK spent? Not enough to get you one of them, mate.
Clearly not.
Woo! Yeah, don't let me forget it.
What
Don't
card?
let me forget it.
In terms of sort of the racing that's going on now, obviously there's been a lot of changes for this coming season. What's your sort of take on how things are headed? Are you excited for it? Are you sceptical that it's going to work out?
Yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, yeah, it's. I think the World Cup's not good. It's. Honestly, I feel like the sport's gone and it's just a business. It's like you're watching a business. It's like it's about making money, and I don't see that you can't see that really. And it's also I feel sad that like I don't know what the claims are, but as far as I know, no one I knew that used to watch it watches it anymore. It's like and there ain't no one at Monson had a crowd, and I think Leger did, but apparently there wasn't people at all the others. Is that the start of what happened in the 2000s? Let's hope not. I think it's going to be propped up by industry money, by regions money. It's money. It's all money, man. It's just the best riders in the world's probably not there already. The essence of downhill is gone. Like, that you can't just turn up. Like, riders getting riders on teams now just because they got points. Like, that's happening all over the place. So, riders that perhaps had a shit year last year that are really fast ain't even on the start line this year because they ain't got nothing to bring to a team. Yeah, I don't like it, of course. But I ain't going to, am I? You ain't going to hear anything positive about me, really.
Do you think sort of that the Continental Series that are due to feed into the World Cup, is that a positive move at least?
Well, you'd think so. Are they going to? Is it all taken care of though? I mean, is it as set up as that? All I see at the moment is absolute carnage, and that's not just because of everything at the World Cup, but the timing is not great with the industry, is it? I mean, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think sport. I see sport. I love sport. I love racing, and even I know that the UCI is a business. Of course it is, but it was also the governing body of a sport, and it surely has got some of that like sport in its roots. But now it to me it just feels like it's money. It's just business. It's just that's. And who wants to watch that really? Not me. And I don't watch it.
Do you not?
No, I can't. Okay. I can't sit through that shit. No. No, that's how it is. Yeah,
Okay.
not really. I
Yeah.
have to sometimes for work, but not anymore, I don't think
Okay.
so. Yeah, no, I don't know. We'll see, mate, won't we? But let's hope it isn't a tragedy, you know. Let's hope it's as good as everyone is being said it's going to be. It's going to grow. Good. Honestly, if there's growth there and if it does get bigger and it does make the jump to the mainstream, yes, fuck me. I'll be the first to say, yeah, you've done it. Good on you. Brilliant. That's amazing. But, you know, if it's a calamity, a catastrophe, and it puts the sport back, that's pretty unforgivable and all. Because it is a sport, mate, and it is a sport.
Yeah.
You know, that's
So you
it.
think a bit of the soul's being sort of...
Yeah, it's just been professionalised, isn't it? It's been busy, it's moneyfied, isn't it?
Okay.
Everyone's moaning about it. I mean, that's how it is. But I'm on the other side of the fence. People on the other side of the fence will tell you something different. So, you know, that's a different story. And I don't know all the facts and figures about it.
Okay.
But yeah.
Do you still get excited about racing though? Obviously, Red Bull have got Hardline, which is, you know, it's now 2 races. Is the chat about a third? You know, you don't know, but like, it feels like that might be another outlet for some of the sort of the excitement, the thrills that actually a lot of fans really want to see if they were not watching the World Cups.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, exactly. If you're not seeing it. Yeah. And, I mean, Hardline's absolutely phenomenal, isn't it? It is the pinnacle of the racing now. To me, it is. I mean, people, World Cup, again, I ain't going to say good things about the World Cup, man. It tells you what happened to me after I didn't do it anymore. But like, yeah, Hardline, it is an amazing, like, platform or track for these riders, and if the world's best do come, like we're talking the Bruni's, the Pirons, I ain't even sure they will win it. They might. Bruni wants to come. He's asked to come a few times. I think it gets difficult with the team and then wanting to focus still on the World Cup stuff. And I mean, that's
manage the
their
risk and stuff.
Eh?
Manage the risk and stuff
Well,
like that,
that's
I
right.
guess.
It does.
Okay.
You know, you can come Hardline and you might not be doing any World Cups if you have an injury.
like Jackson,
But, yeah, but Jackson is back in 2-3 weeks' time in Tasmania. He's not, because he didn't do it on a feature. He could have done that on any track in the world. He did that on just a normal piece of track. He was under pressure. He was responding, and he, you know, it didn't work out for him. And I think it's going to be absolutely spectacular what we see from him. I just can't, like, he's coming back to the same track about a year on when it's Jackson Goldstone, mate, the best perhaps there's ever been, and he's coming back, so that's going to be unreal. Ronan's there, Bernard's there, but Ronan's going to take some stopping.
And what about on the female side of things?
Well, there's 10 women there this year. Yeah, so we got Valley's riding, Valentina,
Which is so cool.
Yeah, isn't it? I mean, Tani, a good mix as well again of the women. Yeah, I'm interested to see that as well. The course is longer this year.
Oh, they've extended it?
Yeah, extended it. I reckon it's going to be a little bit longer, actually, because I haven't seen it with my own eyes, but there's a few more. They want it to be a bit more downhilly, like, you know, as in more natural, I think. So there's more turns at the top.
Yeah.
There's another couple of features in the woods, but not much, because it was mint, wasn't it? Like that high-speed motorway.
So cool.
Yeah,
through
exactly.
that tunnel through the woods.
Through the fern thing.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom where it ended now, there's like a 50-foot step down into a 75-foot double or something, you know. So
Nice chilled finish.
Yeah.
well, I don't know. They don't think much about 75-foot anymore, do they? It's like...
That's what Josh was saying when we had Josh on. He was just like, you just tick those big 90-footers off on the Welsh course like it's nothing. And once they're done, then you do like the more technical ones.
Yeah.
To hear someone just sort of, you know, wash over get over the 90-footers seems insane.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the norm now, though. I mean, just thinking back to last year's broadcast, like, it started with 2 women sending the 70 riding it in that last jump. I mean, fair play. It was mad, wasn't it? Yeah, Gracie and Lou Ferg both.
Yeah.
I mean, what a way to open the show. They've both done it. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's
it's
incredible.
mad. Yeah, it was good. It's good as well, and I'm happy that the jumps aren't any bigger than that, actually. You know, because it's a racetrack. It's not. It's not a fest. It's not. You don't drop when the wind's good. You'll race in this thing, man. So. And we saw that last year. They were over jumping one of the jumps, and then the wind changed, and everyone could barely get over it. So, you know, this is the biggest racetrack test on earth.
I think that's the thing from a sort of a spectacle point of view for mountain biking. Obviously, for the general public to sort of get like eyes on it, things like Rampage are obviously huge because it's a big
Spectacle,
it's a big
isn't it?
spectacle.
Madness.
But actually, Hardline feels like the spectacle with still the competition element of it kind of being a race. And that for me is why, I much prefer Hardline over Rampage, for example, because
Me
kind
too.
of because of
Yeah,
that.
me too. It's not judged, is it, for a start? It's
No,
a race.
it's a race.
That's right.
But still with some gnarly stuff that people are going to look at and think like, obviously the canyon, the big sort of gap that didn't jump in the end for the race last year was a big thing.
But Wales, that Welsh Hardline, I think I like Tasmania because more riders are competitive on it, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Times are tighter, maybe. And
Yeah, it's more of a racetrack. Wales is like another level of difficulty. Like a lot of riders that will come to Tasmania probably won't want to come to Wales. Like, there's a more demand to get to the first one. But to watch Bernard, Ronan, and oh my God, the South American Juanfer Velez, to watch those three riders attack it last year, I think was one of the biggest spectacles I mean, to commentate, it was absolutely mental. Like Bernard was like, right, brain gone, I'm fucking going, and he went so hard on the top that he actually lost time probably, but those race runs it's so intensity to ride that track at that speed is bonkers.
I guess in some ways the almost the hierarchy of things now. I mean, Hardline is getting towards that. Some races really want to win Hardline.
Yeah.
Maybe more so, or approaching as much as they want to win
more
World
and
Cup.
more, won't it? I mean, if there's less interest on the World Cup. I mean, that's unarguable. It feels like, the buzz has gone a bit from that. So people are looking elsewhere, and this is the season opener in 3 weeks' time. Yeah, it's going to be Tasmania.
It might be a bit premature, but in terms of Hardline as a thing, is there going to be growth in that over the next sort of 5 years?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, who knows really? But like you said, open to go to 3, I think, next year. So
cool.
I'm not sure, actually, personally speaking here, I don't think you'd have 3 Rampages in a year, and I'm not sure there's much room for more than 3 Hardlines. This would be my gut feeling on it. It does carry some risk, even though it's a race. And,
is that why you're not doing course previews?
They asked me again. I can't bring a bike all the way to Australia. Are you mad? Yeah, no, you won't get me near it. No, it's let's see, but
it'd be cool if they expand a bit, right?
Yeah, that's right. I think three would be perfect to me. That's what I'd like to see. A triple header of it. It'd be great. Yeah. So yeah, hope so.
Nice.
Lots of talk.
I guess we should start to wrap up.
How long have we been here? How long have we been going?
An hour and 20.
No, why? That flew by.
Oh, good.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I'm glad you were like,
fantastic.
Happy days. Where can everyone hear you and see you this year? What events are you guys going to be covering?
I'm going to be doing Hardlines.
Yeah.
Going to be doing all the Red Bull Cellar Bahu.
Yeah.
Round 2 coming up soon in Chile.
Nice.
And then Mexico after that. And then I think another one probably in Italy at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Crankworks downhills. I'm going to New Zealand to do the first one of them.
Yeah.
So that's good. And then we'll definitely be doing the 11.99 in Whistler live. Don't know whether we'll go to Cairns and do that one, but so they're on. The Hardlines. Hard Enduro, I'll be doing Erzberg.
Oh, no way.
Oh my God. I get to go to Red Bull Erzberg every year, and I get to host it. It's amazing.
That is cool.
Oh, it's amazing. And then Getson might be back as well.
Okay.
So bits and pieces here. Yeah, we're good.
Nice.
Plenty coming up. And of course,
videos.
Just Ride podcast.
Just Ride podcast, and you've got your videos coming out.
And then there's 2 films coming out. Yeah, Return to Glory and Retro Race. Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, they're fun.
Oh, good. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, mint.
We really appreciate it.
That was good. I didn't cry much. See, I told you I'm getting better. Podcast, I'm doing better and better here. Look at that.
Just ticking
First
them
one
off,
I've
mate.
done. I've only done this in the Ride Companion in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
I'm
I really
stepping
appreciate
forwards
that.
today. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I didn't even nearly go. We're all right. I had a bit of a gulp, but other than that, we made it. Woo! Yeah. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Rob.
And be sure to stay tuned for more like this soon.